Hi guys. Okay, continuing in the stealth series, let's talk about your detection range. Now let me clarify that. Every action, every motion that you make is like a ripple on a pond. Some produce tiny little ripples, some produce big waves. And what your environment is, time of the year, light conditions, and other components of you and your transportation and etc. equal how big a rings of detection you create. How easy it is to see and hear you. Now, I have touched on the background, but let me go a little bit deeper. My grandfather taught me a lot of techniques for going quietly in and out of land. My grandfather had to raise 8 kids during the Great Depression. And it was a challenge, of course, to have enough food, to have enough everything. Plus the fact that wild game was not nearly as plentiful as it is today. So you had to roam to find fishing, hunting, ways to feed the family. And stray pigs that got loose and got down in that bottom and don't really belong to anybody anymore. And stray cows and stray chickens and stray goats and stray sheep and things like that that you might have to go a long way to get in order to feed the family. So through him, I learned a lot of these little tips and tricks. So let's talk about the big one, the vehicle. How are you getting in and out? Well, when I was a young man and I got my first pickup truck, you know, you got to understand young men today are kind of like we were back in them days. But you know, when you got your first pickup truck, that was, you're going to be putting the gun rack in the back window, and we're going hunting and we're going fishing, and we can all this stuff, you know, take the girlfriend down to the river and, you know, go to the beach and that type of stuff. Well, the vast majority of the young guys and meet-up point, we want to make it go faster. So you give little performance, better tires, tune-up, stuff like that, trying to make it go a little faster, jump a little better, whatever. But that's where the similarities between me and my contemporaries kind of ended. Because quite often, and you'll hear it today, you'll be sitting there at that traffic light and some pickup truck will pull up beside of you and it is so loud. They've gone and had pipes put on that thing, man. It sounds good. You shut down on that, why, man, you can hear it for miles. Blackie didn't. Blackie went the other way. I crawled up under that truck and me and my granddaddy replaced every body bushing, replaced every body, pad or whatever. Made sure it was greased fully front to back. Took the weight off the springs and got a little bit of grease between the springs, all kind of stuff. Then we'd get up there in the truck and one person would sit here and we'd rock back and forth and look for squeaks, look for sound. Because that metal on metal would telegraph hundreds of yards. You could hear it. And for mufflers, I went down to the muffler shop and I said, how quiet can you make it? Oh no, you want glass packs on that Chevy, don't you? No, sir. How quiet can you make it? And so I had a muffler put on that thing that was supposed to go on a Cadillac. I got rid of the fan on the front of the engine and put one of the early electric fans on it. So you didn't hear that whirr sound as it ran. I could crank that truck and it could be sitting here right now like that, is that close away, and you could barely hear it running. I could put real slow in and out of these dirt roads. And if you were more than, say, 50 yards from me, you'd hear me running over sticks, but you wouldn't hear the truck. I was quiet. So me going to and from my location, I was quiet. See, sound of stealth. How you telegraph sound out into it. How many of you hunters have been sitting there on a turkey blind right before dawn, or on a deer stand right before dawn? Way over yonder on that county road, you hear that, wah! Here comes that pickup truck. And then you hear them turn off the highway onto the dirt road. Wah! Got them big old tires on it, them big mudder tires, and they're just crunching up gravel like crazy. Wah! You hear them come over and you hear them slow down, you hear them pull down in the bottom, rah, rah, rah. Boom, and they turn off right yonder, hear them slam the door when they get out. You know exactly where they are, don't they? They're right there. They're about half mile or less, right there. Because they telegraphed so much. Well, everybody else hears that too. And if I'm trying to go quietly in and out of a place, no. I don't want you to even know I was even in the postal code with you when I come in and when I go out. So, next, we've dealt with the vehicle. Now let's bring it on down to a more personal level. How we telegraph out. A lot of our day-to-day actions, habits, can transmit noise. Had a good friend of my dad's, used a Zippo lighter. And he was, all the time, he'd flip it on like syrup, slap. That's an unnatural sound, ain't it? But you can't open it up. Quietly. Can't you close it? Quietly. Without making a lot of noise. But he'd slap, 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 slap. That was his habit. He also carried a bunch of change in his pocket. Change rattling around in your pocket. A metal lighter in the pocket. Hear that? A pocket knife, bang, 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 on my lanyard, banging into that lighter, making noise. So I try to quietly get over here. Hear that rattling in my pocket? I'm sending out waves. If I'm trying to be quiet, that stays at the truck. Only take what I need. I don't want to transmit by sound out there. I want to avoid stepping on limbs, stuff like that. Don't be crazy about it. Keep your eyes out there, looking. Visual detection as far out as you can. Hearing will give away other people. Are the other people trying to be quiet or not? See? Now, let's address this that's come up in the other two videos. A lot of you military veterans say, oh yeah, but thermal imaging and etc. Correct. That $250,000 thermal imaging you've got on that $500 million aircraft would see me. Average redneck can't afford that. I have good friends who were in special forces. And back in the late 70s, very early 80s, they were on a training mission. And I learned something from him. I think it was at Benning or Bragg. But anyway, him and his group was going to be going into an area. And he knew that at some point, the opposing side was going to have a helicopter come over and use a thermal imager. Well, these thermal imagers are not as advanced as we have today. And here's what old Boss Whitfield told me. He said, you can't beat the machine, but you can beat the man operating it. And so what they did was, when they heard the aircraft, the couple of guys that they were, 4 guys, formed up in a shape. One guy stood here like this. Another guy stood in front of him, and they leaned to the side like that. The other 2 guys bent over like this and grabbed their waist. So when and both of these guys put their legs tight together. So they're leaning together and leaning like this. And the two back ones are holding on to them. So it looks like one unit. And guess what it looks like through a thermal imager? A cow. Because what is that guy using that thermal imagery looking for? Individual targets. Those two together, whatever. That's what his mind's scanning for. And when he scanned over it, what did he see? A cow. Were there any cows out here? No. But the weak thermal imaging of that day, all he saw was 4 legs and a big body with a head leaning forward. A cow. And so he just dismissed it and kept searching. And they flew way over on the bottom. And every time they come up there, they'd go into that formation. And because he never got close, because he's trying to scan at maximum range to cover the furthest out, every time it popped up, he thought it was a 4-legged cow. And so he didn't come in close to get there and actually see the detail. Now today, with the modern imaging we have on that, they detect that. Heck, they can see your face. But again, the average bear don't have that kind of high dollar detection equipment now, do they? That's what you veterans had to face in the Gulf Wars and etc. of the bad guys having stuff that could see you at long range and therefore detect you. Today it's handheld. But the average person is not going to have such a thing. The best they're going to have, usually that they're buying out the catalog and stuff for varmint hunting, these thermal imaging stuff, is really about the equivalent of what they had in Vietnam. About that equivalent. And so again, can you fool the machine? No. Can you fool the man? Yes. And if he thinks it's a cow, or he doesn't see a human shape, is he going to come over and investigate every warm blob? Because that's a fat coon, and that's somebody's dog, and that's a deer, and that's somebody's pig, and, you know, he's looking for the human silhouette. So we're going to avoid that silhouette. Now, back to being out and being quiet, using the old articulated detector. How far away can you hear? A long way. During the summer, when you've got birds, wildlife, things like that, during the day when everything's stirring around, there's more ambient noise and you can travel a little better. But at night, things can get quiet, and late at night get very, very quiet. And so your sound can be heard further away because the ambient noise that you'd kind of blend in, like ripples on a pond, there are fewer things making ripples, so your ripples go further and further out, and therefore you'll get detected. So you want to, A, go through every piece of gear and make sure it's not giving off sound. Now, for example, I'm going to go to visual stealth in that, but this Alice pack is made out of Cordura. Hear that kind of high pitched sound? High. Okay? Canvas. Here it's much lower. Won't be detected nearly as well. This hardly would travel. So a limb or something dragging across this. Now notice. Okay. Which sounds man-made, and therefore going to be more likely to attract attention. So sounds will give you away by what they are. Okay. Now let's shift a little bit to visual. Okay. This is the other half of that. What is your sound detection? Now what is your visual detection? Depending on terrain. Now in the terrain I'm in right now, 25 yards, if you just stand still beside a tree, you're invisible. Take a look. See that down through there? If I was 20 yards out and standing with a tree between you and me, there'd be nothing that you could detect as long as I stood still and remained quiet. And so therefore, I need to reduce my telegraph, my detection range. Well, how can I do that? First, color. See this very nice white, manly wisdom of the goatee and the mustache? What's that look like? You ever seen a white-tailed deer? Ever seen a squirrel tail? Movement of that color white. Because if anybody's out here looking, is probably hunting or hunter or have experience. That's going to be something that you attracts attention. So you want to get rid of that. So something like a simple bandana. That to that greatly reduces how much you see me. Now, how about skin? Well, here's an old trick that we used to do. We'd take some baby oil, a little bitty bottle of baby oil, and get out here and get you a handful of dirt. And you put some baby oil and rub it on your skin, you start rubbing the dirt on you. And you blend in. Get rid of the highs and the lows. You don't want black. Black stands out. Now notice this I'm wearing has got black in it. One of the reasons the U.S. military got away from anything that had black in it was it could be seen farther out. The human eye sees green. 600 something shades of green. So variations of patterns of greens or whatever. A little dark is okay, but not too much. Okay? So even these dark panels on my hat could attract how light that hat is. That would be visible. So I want to somehow dull this down, cover this down. Or notice my hat band's not sewed for a reason. I can stuff stuff up under here and break up that silhouette. So when I lean around that tree and look at you, it's not going to be this old white face and everything. It's going to be the bandana, pair of eyes peeking out, and all of this is going to be pine straw, whatever. It's going to look like a stump when I look around at you. Now let's address real quick the ghillie suit. Ghillie suits were invented in Scotland by ghillies, game wardens. These are guys that are here to keep people from illegally hunting upon the land. And so they are fantastic stationary camouflage. They suck to move in it because it snaps and hangs up on everything, and you just snapping vines and limbs and trees as you go through. Snap, crackle, pop is, you know, it might as well be a bowl of Rice Krispies. Fantastic, but I'm going to be stationary. Fantastic in maybe some of your northern open woods, but down here in this thick stuff, no. If it can snag, it will. So what I recommend is dull earth tone colors. This pair of gray pants, get them dirty. Put it on, get out there and change oil in the car. Just get in the dirt and start rolling around. Get it dirt toned. Then put that on. You'll blend in. The old camouflage pants, ditto. Get them really dirty. That's the idea. I need to be as dirty as possible. This needs to be as dirty as possible. I can use grays, things like that. Now, if I'm going to and from, okay, I don't want to attract attention going to and from, right? I'm going to be riding my vehicle. So let's say I'm going to put on my dirty camouflage pants. If I'm going to leave this off, I'm just going to have an old gray t-shirt on till I get there. And when I get there, I will take the gray t-shirt off, put it back in the truck. I will put this on, I will button it up. And any exposed skin, I'm not going to use them camouflage compacts and everything else. Yeah, they work. Yeah, dirt works just as good. A little bit of sweat, a little bit of grain, a little bit of structure, whatever, and get me dirty. Don't forget the back of your neck. A lot of people do. Don't forget the back of your ears right there. A lot of people do. I want every inch of me covered in a dull earth tone, dirty, textured, not flat in any way. I'm not going to be carrying any gear I don't need. So don't come in with a great big old huge backpack when you're doing just a scout. A small haversack, a small pack is perfectly fine. Minimum gear, minimum noise. Okay, let's talk about gear a minute. If you're going to be using a knife or some other tool, look how nice and shiny that is. Now we're going to talk about visual again. This, nice and shiny. This one ain't. This one's patinaed. Which one do you think is going to attract more attention flashing around? This one. And so I want to have all of my gear needs to be quiet, and I need to make sure it isn't telegraphing light. So if a beam of light catches it just right, I don't telegraph light directly in at me or something like that. A lot less. There's no such thing as perfect. But then black blades may have a purpose, just like patina. Now, coming out, I want wet ones. Go get you one of them big packs, one of them baby white things. Put it somewhere where you can get it, either back at your vehicle or whatever. I'm going to strip off of this. Better yet, I'm going to have a complete change of clothes. So whenever I get there, these come off, and I'm going to swap right quick. Or up underneath this, how about putting on a pair of running shorts? Something bright colored. How about underneath here, putting a nice bright yellow shirt or something bright, nice and stuff. So when I get back, I go whoop, 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 and I'm wearing, I've been to the gym, you know. Take them wet ones and strip off all that. Look at the ladies section. They have stuff for taking makeup off, pads and stuff. Throw that in the kit. I want a mirror so I can quickly clean my face up, so I don't attract a lot of attention going in or coming out. I want my vehicle quiet to get me in. I want to be coming out quiet. Same thing when I'm rolling through town. I don't want everybody to look over and go, where's that guy going in that ghillie suit? It ain't hunting season yet. You're attracting attention. Your ripple effect. Stay away from dogs. Stay away from children. Why? Kids don't have the social inhibitions that adults do. Whenever we're walking in the gas station or whatever, and you look over and this guy has got on odd whatever, you know, we adults go, oh, some weirdo, and we just kind of ignore him and go by him. A kid will go, Mommy, why is he wearing such and such boots? Attracts a lot of attention, don't it? Stay away from children. Stay away from dogs. Stay away from anything that's going to attract attention. If I'm going in here, I'm going to fuel my truck up before I ever start. So that when I get my gear, I'm going home to my target. I'm going to make my safety run around and make sure that there ain't something else. I didn't know they were having a dove shooting today. There's 100 people in that field up there that I thought would be empty. Do your recon. You stop, and wherever you found a safe place to put your vehicle, it's not going to attract a lot of attention. And you're going to go in. You're going to go in and do your stealth scout. And then you're going to come back out. Okay? You're going to take this stuff off, get into civilian stuff, and clean up right quick. Wouldn't be a bad idea to have a Ziploc bag already with a soapy bath cloth in it that's wet. Get water in the bag. I can pull it out and I can take a quick whore bath right quick. Towel up, put my baseball cap on, and I'm in my vehicle and I'm driving back out. Don't attract a lot of attention. You're going to have a buddy drop you off? Even better. Same deal with the vehicle. Buddy will pick you up, so there's no vehicle left sitting someplace. Even better. Limit your telegraph. Get your clothes on, what I'm going to be wearing. Cover up totally. Have a buddy go out and try out. First thing, try making noise. Does it make noise? I want this rolled down. I don't want no bare skin. Down here in my heat, I sure do want that bare skin. If it is, it better be so dirty it does not shine like that nice white skin right there. It better blend in. This right here better be covered where you can't see it. This right here should be covered. Vines and stuff. Don't make it a nice even. Have things hanging off of it. Have vines and stuff hanging off this thing. Like a ghillie suit idea. But I don't want to drag it through the woods. So I only do where I'm going to be stationary and looking. Okay? Look at nature. How it works. We've already talked about moving through the woods quietly. Stopping, pausing, doing your 360 because you're looking for the other detection. There, you're detecting them, the dog, the landowner, the whatever. That's whenever you're looking for them. Now, how to practice this. I recommend you find a friend's land that's got some land. And you tell him, okay, we're both going to be off on Tuesday. I'm going to come up and I'm going to park at your place and I'm going to fade into the woods. Give me an hour or so down there and I want you to come down there and see if you can find me. I'll be somewhere near the pond or somewhere near the dog pen or whatever. And have him come down and walk around and just look and see if he can spot you. That's how you practice. That's how you get good at it. When you're able to get close enough that you can clearly see him and what he's doing, but he can't see you, you figured out how to make a good effective hide, and you've got your camouflage down, and you're not telegraphing by sound, by sight. Now you want to go to the next step. I want to camp out on your land, and I want you to see if you can find me. How good a hide can I make? Where I'm not just going to be sitting here quietly for the next hour. I'm actively doing something. How about one step up? Me and a good friend of mine, Micah, who's got about at 200 acres of land. And we pulled this game down there before where he's made up flags. And what it is blue ribbon on a piece of string or something. And he'll go tie it to a limb or whatever at various points. My job to see how many of them I can get without him finding me. And there was this one particular challenge we did where he had 2 dogs. And me and him danced around that land for 6.5 hours. And I got all but one of those. And where was that last one at? It was out in the middle of a cow pen, hanging on a feeding post, 30 yards from any cover. And the only way I could have got out there and back was crawl without detection. And the grass was not deep enough for me to crawl. I'd had done it in the middle of the night, and he knew that. But I got all the others. And so that was the challenge, see. Visually challenging me and terrain challenging me. That's the ultimate testing yourself, because you don't get good unless you practice. So to recap, your means in and out should not telegraph you. Visually, you should not be telegraphing. Listening, you should not be telegraphing. Scent, you should not be telegraphing. Shiny things for visual, you should not be telegraphing. Get all those under control, and you'll be a ghost in the woods. And that's the ultimate goal. Hope you've enjoyed this, guys. Please leave any questions or comments below, and there'll be more of these videos coming up. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.